Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I want to say a big thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please go ahead and introduce yourself. I really want to know your name. Where are you watching from? What is your name? What do you do for a living? I'd like to know. Please go ahead and introduce yourself. And if you're a returning subscriber, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are amazing. You're the reason why I get out to do all the things that I do. Thank you for your massive love and your incredible support to your girl. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're watching the live, please type live in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, please go ahead and type replay in the comments. Yes, I want to know exactly the number of people that get to, watch this replay after the live stream. So please introduce yourself. And while you're introducing yourselves, let me also go ahead and introduce myself as well. So guys, my name is Miriam. I live here in California. Actually, yesterday was my 11th wedding anniversary. Yes, so we're still in, the celebration mood right now. So yes, I live in California with my amazing family. I am a wife, a mom, a student, an entrepreneur, I'm also a fashion designer. So you can visit my website, www.chassiseverything.com. And just so you know, I'm also open for business. I'm open to business inquiries and collaborations. If you would like to partner with me on business related matters, go ahead and send an email to ceo@chassiseverything.com. And if you have not checked out my previous videos, please go ahead and check. I am the grants queen. I talk about, I share all grants information on my channel. So if you're looking for free money for your small businesses, for your non-profits and what have you, I have got you guys covered. Yes. And today we're going to be talking about how to cultivate a growth mindset. Yes. How to actually cultivate a growth mindset. So I'll also love to, learn from you guys as well. So if you have any suggestions, you have your opinions you want to share, please use the comment section. Yes, feel free to use the comment section. I really want to hear from you guys as well. It's not just the one-way traffic here. We learn from one another. We learn from each other. So first things first, what is the growth mindset? When you hear, do they have growth mindset or do they not? Or does she have a growth mindset or does she not have a growth mindset? So what is the growth mindset? Growth mindset is actually the belief that intelligence and your abilities can be developed through effort and learning. Remember on this channel, I've said it so many times that the day you stop learning is the day you begin to die, not the actual day that you get buried or the actual day that you cease your breath. The day you stop learning is the day you begin to die. What does that mean? We need to grow every day. Yes, we have to keep growing, not just in physical stature, but we also need to grow intellectually, in every areas of our lives. So why does it matter to grow? Why is growth important for us? Growth is actually important for us to, adapt. Things are changing, times are changing, and you will agree with me that the world is digital. I mean, the future is digital, right? And because the future is digital, you need to learn to adapt to, how things are run now. The way things were run in the 18th century is different from the way things are actually run right now. Thank you so much for joining. Nyakins, where are you watching from? Thank you for joining in. So yes, the way things were run, hundreds of years ago is different, way different from the way things are run right. In fact, the way business was run, even 20 years ago is different from the way business is being run today, so that's why I mentioned that the future is actually digital, which means a lot of things have changed and we need to adapt to change. And this is why growth is very important, so we need to learn at every single phase of our lives. And when I say growth mindset, or when I say grow, I don't mean that I'm not asking you to fly in one day. I'm not asking you to, get there in one day. You have to commit to, slowly grow, slowly learn bit by bit every day. At all, not bad. When you're not learning anything at all, that's the worst thing that can happen to anyone. When you stop learning, like I said, you start to die, you begin to die. And as a matter of fact, you stop growing. You stop growing intellectually when you stop learning. So when you learn, you're able to adapt to, how things are run in today's world. And of course, when you grow, you also, achieve results. Growth also helps you to achieve results. If you're doing, like I always say as well, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. It's only a crazy person that expects to do the same thing over and over and over again and expect to get a different result. If you want to get a different result, then you have to do things differently. Okay, Ian Kings, you're from Kenya. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining in. I actually go live on this channel every Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific time. So I think I'm about 10 minutes late today, so I apologize for my lateness. So yes, I also want to learn from you. What do you see as growth? What's your own definition of growth mindset or a growth mindset? So we're gonna discuss it all in today's segment. And in case you're wondering, I don't know, and honestly, truthfully, some people don't have the growth mindset. Some people are just, they feel that they're okay with mediocrity. Some people feel that they're okay with the barest minimum. And like I said, anyone can grow. We all can grow. I was listening to someone that studies the brain, and I'm trying to remember what it's really called, and the person said that you can actually you can literally like reprogram the brain. Yes, you can actually reprogram and the brain is capable of learning like all through your lifetime. So no matter your age, if you're committed to learning something, trust me, you can learn that thing. And that's something I picked from what the medical expert said in his own posit. So you can actually learn. If you think that you're too old to learn or you're too young to learn, you just lie to yourself. And trust me, it's something that you have to commit to. Now, regardless of all that I'm going to discuss with you guys, I'm going to say I'm going to say one thing 3 times in the course of today's live stream. And that thing is, I'm going to mention it the first time. This is going to be the first time I will mention it. No matter how much you want to grow or you plan to grow, if you don't put in action, it's just a futile effort. You have just wasted your time. No matter how much you want to grow, no matter the mindset you have, the growth mindset you have, if you do not put in action, if it's just all talk, no action, you will not grow. Yes, you will not grow. So I see a lot of people also have lots of goals, in their notes, in their notepads. It's full, it's filled up, but they do nothing about it. That's not growing. That's just wishful thinking. So I've said it the first time. I'm going to mention it again in the middle and towards the end, because honestly, that is the most important thing. The most important factor, when it comes to growing is taking action. Growth you can't even say growth without action. You need to take action, and you need to take necessary action. You know what your issue is, you know what you need to do, but are you actually doing it? A lot of people don't do it. A lot of people, from experience, I've seen a lot of people talk about the same thing. They talk about the same problem they had 6 years ago. And they talk about the same, hey, Sarah, thank you so much for joining. I apologize, I was late today. A lot of people talk about a goal, 6 years ago, and 6 years later, they're still talking about that thing. Akisha, how have you been? This woman, how have you been? Good to see you. How is the family? So, and they fail to do anything about it. I want to do X, I want to do Y. They know what to do, but they don't ever take action. And I've mentioned it the first time. I'm not going to mention it now. I'll mention it in the middle and towards the end. Like I said, I'm going to mention that key factor 3 times in the course of today's, live stream. So people know what to do. Some people just want you to be their soundboard. They want to just air their problems. They know the solution to their problems, but they will never do it. They will not take action. The best you can do is to talk to them. The best you can do is to advise them. But taking that action, you have to do it yourself. So when we talk about growth, having a growth mindset, if you don't, thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you. I appreciate you. If you don't actually take action, then it's all wishful thinking. So if you really want to grow, maybe you want to commit. You're committed to reading more books. You're not committed until you actually start reading those books. You're committed to reading more books this year or next year or this month, but you actually have never taken a book and picked up a book to read at all. Then you're not growing. So growing is actually in taking action. It's actually in taking action, really. And now, can you develop yourself? Some people, I've noticed some people have been, they have been stagnant for a long time, and they feel that I don't know, they're so scared to do something differently. Or maybe they are too lazy to do something differently. But they really want to, they admire results when they see it in other people, but they have not brought themselves to the point where, they actually take action or get those things done. The solution to this thing is doing it, taking action. That is the solution to it, taking action. And can you actually develop yourself? I don't care your age. I don't care how long you've left school. I don't care how long ago you've tried something. You can actually do it. You can grow at any age. And it's a function of what you tell yourself. It's a function of how committed you are. But no matter how committed you are, if you don't take action, then it's all futile. Like, it will lead nowhere. You will not grow. You will not grow. So, like I said, a growth mindset is a skill that you can actually nurture. You can nurture it. And I'm not asking you to build castles in the air or set lofty goals, that you want to achieve it in one day. No, just tiny, tiny drops of effort. Like they say, tiny drops of water makes a mighty ocean. Those little steps every day or periodically, depending on how you want to, set it yourself. It can be weekly, but make sure that you do it. Just make sure that you do it. Make sure that you shop. Make sure that you take action. So become aware of when you first, slip into. There are some people that have fixed mindsets. They have a fixed way of they don't want to go outside. They don't want to think outside the box. Remember, I said that the world is changing. The world is digital. And if you don't adapt, if you don't learn to adapt, you will be left behind. And if you really want to grow, true growth is truly in the action. You need to actually take action. And like I said, the good news is that anyone can actually nurture their mindsets. You can nurture your goals. You can actually grow. Anyone can grow. Have you seen someone? I've met someone before, who she actually gained admission to study her first degree. I think she was almost 40 years old when she gained admission to study. And when she left high school, I think it was like, I don't know, like over 10 years. What am I saying? Like 15 years. That was when she left high school. She actually started her college degree 15 years after she left high school. And guess what? She made the first class. She did. 15 years ago. You might think, oh, the brain is tired. It's been so long. It's been a long time. It's a lie. Like I said, you can actually rewire the brain. Yeah, you can rewire your brain. If you want to learn a new language, it's just a matter of, determining and believing that you can do it and taking action. And guess what? You will do it. You will do it. See, growth mindsets comes with action, with taking action. So if you think you have growth mindsets, but you just don't do anything about it, it's as useless as not even having a growth mindset. So the major factor in having that growth mindset is actually in taking action. It's in taking action, taking the necessary steps to getting you from this point to the next level. So you need to also, look at yourself and identify those fixed minds. If you're someone that has a fixed mindset or a limiting mindset, I call it fixed or limiting mindset. Because when you have a fixed mindset, you're very likely gonna, not want to think outside the box or not want to do something that is not comfortable. And one of the things, if you really want to grow, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the good thing is that you can actually develop a growth mindset. It's a skill that you can nurture. And honestly, you can surround yourself with people who are who are growing. Even if they are growing exponentially, somehow you will catch up with them or you will catch up with the flow. But because you're surrounded with people, you're surrounded by people who are constantly growing in everything, in their careers, in their spiritual life, in their, in their relationships with people, then you are going to pick up from them. You're likely going to pick up from them. Part of the growth is when you surround yourself with people that are constantly growing, because you won't be comfortable being around people who are growing constantly. You won't be comfortable if you yourself, you're not growing. Before you know it, it's just a matter of time. You start to grow yourself. You start to do something about it. You see that these people, they have a list of KPIs that they've set for themselves, and they're actually doing it. They're following through and measuring their successes. They're measuring their growth. Okay, I've moved from this point to this point. Okay, I've tried this, I've tried that. They're actually doing it. When you see that these people are actually doing it, then they don't have two heads. There's a way, there's something that sparks, that action in you. It sparks up that action in you, and you're like, okay, these guys let me try, even if it's just one. And when you try that one out of the many goals, or the only goal that you've had in your book or in your notes for a long time, or for the longest time, you try it, and then you realize that you were able to do it, then it calls for more growth. When you realize that you've actually set this goal and you've done it, you've actually done what you promised you were going to do, how does that feel? Success is very sweet, I promise you. Success is such a sweet feeling, and then you realize that you can actually do more. Yes, you can set a higher goal and reach those goals. But first, you need to, tell yourself that you can do it. And not just telling yourself, you need to work towards it. You need to actually take action. And now, there are certain things that you also need to take care of, for the most part. And this is something that is common with a lot of people. You need to recognize those fixed mindset traps that you've been in maybe all your life. Things like, oh, that's just how I am. You can change it. No, you don't have to be like that. You don't have to be that way. You can actually change it if you truly want to grow. So recognize those limiting thoughts that you've always had prior to now. Stop saying that's just how I am. You can actually change it if you truly want to change. And then you can reframe things like, I can't do this, to I can't do this yet. Yet is such a powerful word. It's such a powerful word, and you can use yet to, how do I put it, to manipulate yourself. Sorry for the lack of a better word to use. You can use yet to manipulate yourself into greatness, into believing in yourself. Questions like, have you made your first $1 million? Have you made your first $1 million? You can either say no, or you can say not yet. You see, not yet puts you in a position where the possibility starts to come in. Not yet puts you in a position where you see it happening. So maybe you should start saying more of not yet than no. No is like, let's not even go there. No sounds like, let's not even think about it. If it's something that you truly want, or you believe that it's possible for you, then maybe you should start using the word yet. So you can say, I can't do this yet, but I can. With time. You probably have to learn, and it takes time. And then when you fail, anytime you fail, don't view it as the end of life, or I've actually failed. I was listening to Michael Jordan, and you need to hear the amount of failures this guy had gone through. He has, I don't know, I don't want to use the wrong words, but he has gone through more failures than the successes that we all see on the basketball court. He has gone through more failures. He has missed over 3,000 shots. He has failed his team over 26 times when he was trusted with throwing that Z3 pointer 26 different times. So he shared it. He shared his failure. It was massive. At the end of his speech, Michael Jordan said that he probably made things look so easy to his audience. Like when they see, maybe he should be posting more of his failures so that people can, get used to it. Because there are some people who, they just feel, I have to be number one. If I'm not number one, then I'm not going to do it, or I'm not going to go for it. But when Michael Jordan actually shared his failures, then you understand. And somebody asked him, so what actually made you keep growing? What is that thing that made, he said it is failures that kept him going, that kept pushing him. His failures made him understand that he can try again. And that's how we all should actually view failure. We shouldn't see failure as the end of life. We shouldn't see failure as, it's the end. No, it's not the end. It's never the end. It's never the end. Failure is never the end. You have to actually use failure to propel yourself into greater successes. You have to take advantage of that failure and let it motivate you to taking, going to the next level. So if you're maybe experiencing a kind of loss, failure, or setback, or you just think lowly of yourself, hello, there's good news for you. I don't care what stage you are right now in life. You can always overcome. You can always overcome. You see, and that's why growth mindset is very, very key. And you can't have a growth mindset without taking action. So this is my second time of mentioning it. You really have to take action. You can have all the growth mindset in this world. If you don't take action, then it's as futile. You have to take action. And you just never know the next person or what's going to change your life the next minute. I shared it, I think it was earlier this week. No, last week. This is the new week. I shared it last week that there was this lady who is also a content creator on YouTube. And she was always posting content and she wasn't really getting much views. So, I mean, she would show up anyway. So she had this video. She posted her video. She had just 10 views. Out of the 10 views, out of the 10 people that watched her, she got one view that is greater than 1 million people, 1 million views. One view was greater than 1 million views for this lady. So what actually happened? Someone just saw her video on YouTube, 10 views. Out of the 10 views, that person emailed her and invited her to speak at Wembley Stadium in the UK. And that's how she began her speaking career, speaking engagements. And she started getting booked to speak at events just from her YouTube channel. She's charging like £20,000 per speaking engagements, or even more today. But she shared her story about how she got just 10 views. So it's in taking action. If you keep saying, oh, they're not going to watch, or it will still not matter anyway. I had an exhibition yesterday. I didn't go to the exhibition to sell. I went to the exhibition to actually showcase my brand. It was about publicity, because you never know who is going to come there and change your life. I was at my Chamber of Commerce, my local Chamber of Commerce, about 2 weeks ago. I also went, I attended the mixer, and I met 2 congressmen at the mixer. So you never know what can change, what can transpire, the kind of meetings that you'll have, life-changing opportunities that you may have. So don't despise days of little beginnings. Don't say, oh, it has to be big, it has to be massive from day one. You can start small. It's okay to start small. And I think we need to maybe learn more from failures of, great people. We probably need to learn more. We need them to showcase more of their failures than the success that we see, on the news, on social media. And then we think, oh, these people have never failed before in their lives. When they tell you how much they have failed, then you probably would, have a rethink and see that failure is not the end in itself. Failure is not fatal. It is not final. Rather, you should use failures as a stepping stone into greatness. Yes, to your next level. You should see failure as, a way to actually, that's how I see it. I see it as a way to begin again more intelligently, to begin again wisely, with better wisdom. You're wiser than you were when you first started. So that's one way by which I choose to see failure. So treat failure as feedback. It's not defeat. Treat it as a feedback. Oh, okay, it means you need to improve on X and Y. Or it means you need to do X and Y more, practice X and Y more, so that the next time you show up, you show out. And then one of the things, part of growth mindset is actually in celebrating your little success. Celebrate every small progress that you have. Celebrate every win that you have. And then you have to stay curious. Keep learning. Learn something new every day. Like I am doing everything to when it comes, talking about reading books, reading new books, finishing up the books that I'm reading before going to the next one. Because honestly, I am someone, books for me is like the way some people see chocolates. I don't like chocolates. Like I don't like it. Like I'm not gonna buy chocolates for myself and eat. No, I will not. But the way there's some people that see chocolates and they're like, oh, I love it. But that's how some people view it. So maybe for lack of a better example to use, so books for me, I get really tempted when I see books. I'm like, oh, I need to read that book, or I need to read that book, I need to read that book. But beyond packing all the books together and having a room of a house of library, taking action, reading those books is actually more important than gathering those books. Reading those books is a different thing. Now, applying those things, applying all the principles, the good principles that you learned from the books is actually more important than reading those books. And that's something I see a lot of people. And I always wonder, yeah, amazing. Sarah, I tell you, it was really, really encouraging when she told me, when she shared her story, how she got a big gig, just from her 10 views on YouTube. So you need to actually take action. So beyond reading, why do you read? Why are you reading? You're applying, you're reading to learn from people who have done something and they've probably excelled at it, and then you want to apply the principles or the knowledge, whatever you are able to take away from it, you're able to apply it in your personal life. By the way, has anybody seen Straw, the Tyler Perry movie? I wish I have a platform, or rather, because I don't talk about movies here on this channel, but I wish I would have a, maybe a podcast or something where we can discuss it and dissect it, because I saw a lot of things from that movie. So a lot of people saw entertainment. I saw, issues, real life issues. So the reason why I mentioned that is because I'm someone that takes action. So when I read a book, I don't just read it for the sake of reading. And the same way I even do the same thing applies even when I watch movies. When I see certain things that I can apply in my personal life or that I can learn from, I take it. I take it and I apply. I'm someone that, I apply the principles that I learn that I find really worthy. I apply them in my personal life. So when it comes to reading, maybe self-development books, are you actually applying them? Because some people they just love to sound intelligent, but they don't like to apply it in their personal lives. So are you truly applying those principles that you read in the books? That's the most important thing. In fact, it's more important than reading the book itself. In all honesty, it is more important than reading the book itself. So please note that action is more important. When it comes to growing, you need to really, really take action. Yes, taking action is much more important than reading or than learning about something. If you don't take action, it's just a waste of time. Please always stay curious, always learn every day, and also cultivate the culture of persistence. And this is something that I'm trying to teach my kids as well. I took my daughter to my exhibition yesterday, and she, when it comes to perseverance, she was struggling with that. At some point, she was like, she felt stressed out, and I understand she's still little. She's just 8, right? But she felt stressed out, and then I had to tell her, you need to start developing resilience from now. You can't just fall flat at the slightest, glimpse of challenge. You need to start, you have to lean into discomfort and stick with those tough tasks. You need to. That's how you get ahead. That's how you win in life. And then it's also okay to seek constructive feedback. You can ask people or your clients or depending on your audience, how can I improve? You can ask them. It's okay as well, to ask people. If you really want to grow, you have to be okay with, asking for feedback. And I listened to, I think it was a school that introduced the culture of not just peer-to-peer feedback, but bottom up and, up top to bottom feedback. Typically when I was working in the bank, we only got feedback from our bosses, But this school introduced feedback both directions. So while you are reviewing your subordinates, subordinates are also reviewing you as the boss anonymously. They are telling the management that, okay, I think this person is not is micromanaging people. I think this person needs to improve on X and Y. So I think both ways, regardless of your, and I think I am also talking to myself. I don't think I've asked any of my team members to to rate me. So I think I'm gonna ask them. I think the end of this month, I'm gonna ask them. And in all honesty, no, I'm not gonna take anything against you. What do you think of my leadership style? Do you think I'm micromanaging? That I'm really like hounding as I quick to praise myself or think I'm doing everything right. So I'm also gonna cultivate the habit of, running maybe a monthly thing or a quarterly thing, asking for feedback because I also want to grow. So I know for sure I always ask my assistants, for feedback on, certain things that we do and how we can change it. And I do that, but I'm actually gonna the fact that I remember that this school introduced the ideology of, asking for feedback both ways, from the top to the bottom and from the bottom all the way to, that's one way to also grow. Make sure that you're not, in as much as you want to, you love to grow, don't be afraid of criticisms, don't be afraid of feedbacks. These are actually things that helps you to grow. And if you truly love growth, then you will not take offense when they maybe it's time for you to just say, maybe this person is telling the truth, maybe I need to work on myself, and that's okay. So you should not be, don't be scared, or don't shun feedback. Ask your mentors and ask your peers, how can I improve? Now, I said this earlier, but please make sure that you always surround yourself with growth-minded people. Yes, because their energy will help to fuel your success, your progress. Those people's energy around you, I promise you, it will fuel your progress, and then also celebrate small wins and others' successes. And this is me right from the onset. When I see you growing, when I see you progressing, I'm so happy for you, like as if it's me, So always, celebrate every other person's success around you. Be grateful for your own steps forward, be grateful for, your own remarkable progress, and also be thankful for, others that have, excelled, above you or before you. Like I always say, the first house that is built on the streets doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the most beautiful house. So it could be the last house. So celebrate people. This is their time, and your time will definitely come. And once again, do not forget to take action, regardless of, your growth mindset or whatever stage or whatever it is that you've learned or accomplished or, thought about. Even if you've drafted all your goals, you've drafted a perfect, vision board for yourself, without action, it goes nowhere. And I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that you can actually cultivate a growth mindset and actually, take yourself from this point to the next level. But do not forget, once again, action is key. Please make sure that you take action today. So thank you all so much once again. I remain your girl Miriam. If you haven't checked out my previous videos, please go ahead and do that right away. And if you have any topic for me, please let me know in the comments. And don't forget to check out my grants videos. And we will see you in the next episode, which is next Sunday by God's grace. All right, take care, guys, and bye for now. Love you.